This is the story of Brainy the RPG cat, and in many ways it's a very typical story. One day an old man found a stray kitten in a library, and he chose to keep it as a mascot, and to keep him in gentle company. But this was no ordinary old man, for he was Bosch, the high elf headmaster of the Library of Dinah, a very not ordinary library dedicated to the goddess of all living knowledge. And before long, Bosch would learn that this was also no ordinary cat.
Hello.
Learning that the cat was intelligent, the wizard took it upon himself to teach him to read and write, and learn history and the ways of magic. He was quite taken with the lessons he got from games using cards and dice. And soon the cat grew into an adult, a scholar, a full-fledged wizard in his own right, and once and forever one of the most dedicated librarians in Denier. The wizard bestowed upon him a name in the tradition of all cat people. He who astounds with his immediately brilliant ideas, but the library wizards have taken to calling him Brainy the RPG cat. And let me tell you, it hasn't been a bed of roses.
Brainy the cat. Brainy the RPG cat. It's a kitty cat.
Hello, cats and kittens, felines and felidae, humans and variant humans, and every race, class, and subclass. Welcome to another episode of Brainy the RPG Cat. Tonight, we are going to be reading the Blight 5th edition version from Frog God Games, and so this is the third part of the book that we've been reading so far. And I think in the last time that we left off, we were just talking about the club's mechanic. And the club's mechanic is, coming in, we're going to just start talking about the individual clubs, but, so we understand the Blight to be just kind of a culmination of its author, Richard Prett's life work, like a significant amount of, the role plays that he had written and role played in took place in this community, and there's a lot of information. So there's also the fact that since this book is works as a conversion for como se llama, Pathfinder, that Pathfinder has a significant, contributes significantly to, to the amount of the information that we're getting on very specific things like characters and jobs and effectively everything that we've read so far. There's just a ton of information to go over. Right now we're 40 pages into the book. I assume that we're going to get done with this in roughly about 6 parts, but my estimates have been off before. I mean, the time that we were actually reading Eberron, I think I overshot that by some 4 or 5 episodes. But we're going to go ahead. We're going to do our level best, see how much we can get through tonight. Alright, so, once again, I do want to take a moment in order to talk about our sponsor. This is the Well of the Worlds. Welcome to the Well, where the Bermuda Triangle ends. The Well of the Worlds is a campaign setting for Prowlers and Paragons. This TTRPG meant to evoke the feel of Japanese isekai and Western portal fantasy tales. As with many classic examples of the genre, much of a player's and their characters' experiences during a session will come from exploring the Well. As the campaign progresses, they will learn more about the Well's peculiar climate, discover strange ruins, wonder at the unusual sky, and meet numerous peoples who are definitely not from Earth. And as is the case with many of these stories, the characters slowly discover they have strange and unusual powers in this new world, and that this peaceful paradise holds a dark secret. As the setting subtitle says, this is where the Bermuda Triangle ends. What is Prowlers and Paragons? Prowlers and Paragons Ultimate Edition is everything that you need to create unique superheroes and play exciting stories right out of comic books and movies. There are countless powers and power options, extensive rules for gear, vehicles, and even headquarters, a massive assortment of animals and non-player characters, and extensive guidance to help game masters run the most engaging superhero games possible. Prowlers and Paragons Ultimate Edition is super flexible with easy, intuitive game mechanics, but still contains enough crunch to keep every character from feeling the same. Character creation is fast, fun, and allows just about any concept that you can come up with. What is the Well? Imagine a world where the weather is perfect day in and day out, where it seems to be perpetually mid-summer with no rainy season or periods of drought to interrupt the endless pleasant days. Where the sun always rises at the same time and in the same place and sets 14 hours later. Where crops can be grown year-round, meaning everyone has enough to eat without the lean periods that plague less fortunate worlds. Where there are multiple human peoples dwelling for the most part in harmony. Can you imagine such a world? Then, welcome to the Well of the Worlds. Designed as a standalone pocket universe, the Well was originally connected to assorted alternate dimensions and worlds throughout the multiverse. It is from these worlds the park's intended visitors originally came. Currently, the Well is still connected to a multitude of other universes, but the connections are unstable and tend to drift and open erratically. In addition, the Well is, by its very nature, prone to collect errant hyperspace jaunts, teleportation errors, lost dimensional portals, and the like. Think of it this way, the Well of the World sits at the bottom of the universe, slowly collecting all the interdimensional detritus that floats down through the verse, eventually fetching within the Well itself. So, the Well of the World's Kickstarter, managed by Rem Alternatives Productions, written by Michael Serbrook, and published by Mobius Worlds Publishing. Be sure to sign up for the mailing list. Join 70 people who have currently joined the mailing list, and watch out for the Kickstarter when it launches this coming April the 4th. Alrighty, let's go ahead and let's start to read about the club section in The Blight, Richard Pratt's Crooked City by Frog God Games. The Amateur Mendicants, a group of deluded aristocrats, wealthy individuals, and the curious who wander the streets dressed as beggars. Seeking a member of the Mendicants is not easy unless assigned as a reward or occurring as an encounter. It requires a DC 20 intelligence investigation check with one attempt allowed per month. On a successful check, a DC 23 charisma, deception, or persuasion check is then required to convince members to allow you to join their group. Other methods of entry are at your discretion. For example, somebody who spends months dressed as a beggar at a place known to be frequented by members of the Mendicants may impress them sufficiently enough in order to approach that individual. I really added just a bunch of words to that sentence. Sorry about that. Benefit: the Mendicants have an incredible network of spies and knowledge of the city. Twice per month, a member can ask a question of her fellows and gain the ability to make an immediate investigation check with advantage, and as if they have expertise in the skill. Special: a member must spend at least one day out each week dressed as a beggar and living out in the streets of the city. This is a risky endeavor, however, and all the members face one random encounter per month, as determined by the GM that starts out as hostile. Advancement, roll 1d20 months per month for an opening on a position of local mendicant clerk for a district opens up. This position earns 100 gold points per year and allows the clerk to request information as above once per week, rather than twice per month. In addition, while researching her own district, she can make checks daily. The Arcanum Infernus, a small group of like-minded people who find death fascinating. Prerequisites: the ability to cast necromancy. Initiation is by invitation only. A character can make one attempt per month at a cost of 100 gold points to bribe and try to impress members. It requires a successful DC 17 intelligence check to be invited. If invited, there is a one-time fee of 250 gold points for a lifetime membership. Benefit: a member can access the Infernus Library at will, which contains all necromancy spells up to 4th level. Members using the library in relation to research of necromancy spells or magic items do so. Advantage to their arcana checks as if they have expertise in the skill. Special benefit is unpopular. Club members are often targeted by religious orders determined to remove their stain from society. In encounters with some good or lawful aligned religious orders or churches, members have disadvantage on all charisma-based checks. And in advancement, members that show proficiency in arcana, history, and religion are offered access to the inner quorum. For a one-time fee of 1,000 gold points, they have access to all necromancy spells up to 5th level. Those who have provided themselves worthy, usually through a quest or a difficult task, and who are part of the inner quorum are automatically appointed to the inner council, where they have access to the whole library of all known necromancy spells, all up to 7th level. Brothers of the Cables, climbers, explorers, and daredevils. The Brothers of the Gables delight in finding the highest buildings to climb and reaching the most remote parts of the rooftops of the city. Many Gable Masters are members of this club. Prerequisite: a petitioner to join might climb a prominent building within the city requiring a DC 15 strength athletic check of at least 150 feet without ropes or other aids. The petitioner's athletics check result is then removed from the persuasion or the deception check required by the petitioner after the successful climbing feat to impress the membership. The following up check has a base of DC 25, which is reduced as described above. Benefits: membership opens doors to other routes, methods, and ways of famous buildings, as well as knowledge of those places. Intelligence checks by members regarding any tall building or high part of the city, such as the Jumble or the Capitol, are made with their proficiency bonus applied and with advantage. Advancement: a member can attempt one qualifying climb, whether successful or not, per month as under prerequisites, but with a minimum height of 200 feet. If successful, she can attempt to increase her standing in the Brotherhood by making an immediate DC 20 Charisma, Deception, or Persuasion check. After making the attempt, success on this check indicates acceptance into an inner circle, where further techniques of climbing buildings are shared, allowing them to apply double their proficiency bonus on athletics checks when climbing. Fame or infamy: there are those in the club who seek out multiple climbs of astonishing danger. A member making a climb with a minimum of DC 25 strength athletics check becomes famous, as does anyone climbing a building that is particularly legendary at the GM's discretion. Such famous members make all charisma, perception, or deception checks with advantage anywhere in the city where they announce their fame. Hedonist Club. Carousers and gluttons. The hedonists are a loose affiliation of those who like the finer things in life and indulge in them heartily. Prerequisites: various arms of the group are seen in the rowdy or more fashionable holes of gluttony and excess within the city. One needs simply appear at one and spend money trying to impress would-be peers. Once per week, a petitioner can spend 200 gold points and make an immediate DC 20 Charisma, a Deception, or Persuasion check to gain membership. Swine can add the proficiency bonus to this check. Membership requires the spending of 100 gold point per month minimum, but for each 50 gold points spent in excess, the DC of the investigation check mentioned in the benefits section is reduced by 1 to a maximum of 3. Benefits: once per week, a member can follow a fellow hedonist to spend the day making an investigation check to gather information on their behalf. This check uses the requesting member's investigation skill modifier, but with their proficiency and any added reduction to the DC as mentioned above to the check. A hedonist also has access to the money since mentioned above. A hedonist also have access to money since so many swine loan sharks are members. Loans of up to 500 gold point are always available, subject to a 7-day term of payment at 10% interest. If not paid within the specified time, the weekly interest rate doubles. If a member defaults on the loan for 4 weeks in a row, she is kicked out of the club, and hired thugs are likely to come knocking looking for the money. Only one loan can be taken out at a time. Advancement, roll 120 dice per month for an opening, or an 18 to 20. The position of Honored Glutton opens up after another member dies. The position costs 100 gold points per month, but allows access to a twice weekly request of the investigation check above, and up to 2,500 gold points can be borrowed as a loan. Honored Gluttons can make a check once a month to see if the position of Hoglord becomes available. On a 20, if the position is available, it costs 250 gold points per month, but grants legal access to the capital and the sanctuary as an honorary noble. Loans of 10,000 gold points are available to Hoglords. Physicana Insectum. The Physicana experiment with compounds and breeding techniques for standard insectum to try to enhance their efforts. Prerequisites: potency in medicine nature. Fees are 100 gold points per year. Benefits: the member is able to purchase insectum at 80% of normal price, and once per week can purchase a specially enhanced version of any insectum, and at 50% increase in cost that has neither no associated penalty or double the duration. A buyer's choice. Advancement: members within a +5 or greater modifier to both the medicine and nature skills learn to enhance insectum themselves, enabling her to produce the variant insectum above, with only a 25 increase in cost. Members with an 8 or greater modifier in both skills always create enhanced insectum when they breed it, limited to once per week. The School of Hard Knocks. A group of dwellers who enjoy wrestling, a boxing match, baiting, and generally watching or participating in melees for pleasure. They are based within various establishments across the city and are prolific. Prerequisites: 2 levels in a martial class, barbarian, fighter, monk, paladin, ranger, or rogue. Fees for carousing and instruction by experts and odds makers are 250 gold points per year. Benefits: once per month, a member can place a wager on a match with advanced knowledge. Matches have odds of 20 to 1, 12 to 1, 10 to 1, 8 to 1, 6 to 1, or 4 to 1, member's choice. Members can reduce the odds of this match by 1 die. On a roll of 1, the appropriate die of the member is a winner. The payout is all the original odds. The maximum bet a member can make in one of these matches is 50 gold points. Special because their penchant for winning long odds and taking other people's money. Club members face at least 1 random hostile city encounter once per month. Advancement: roll 1d20 once a month for an opening. On a natural 20, the position of club secretary opens up with a one-time cost of 1,000 gold points, in addition to the standard 250 per year club fees. Secretaries have access to better tips and can wager once a month, as above, but with either a reduction in odds by 2 die categories, or with a cap of 100 gold points instead of 50. In the latter option, the secretary can split the bet over 2 bets of 50 gold points if she so chooses. Club secretaries can also check each month to see if the post of district secretary turns up, which has a one-time cost of 2,500 gold points on top of the 250 gold point annual fees. District secretaries get even better tips, and each month can choose to either reduce the odds against them by 2 die categories and have a 100 GP monthly cap divisible into 2 bets if she chooses, or instead have a 200 GP monthly cap which is divisible by up to 450 gold point bets. District secretaries oversee admission of new members. The Warriors Club. The Warriors Club are amateur experts of the Under-Earth. They meet up to talk and discuss and swap information about subterranean places and enthuse about all matters below. Many are also members of the Royal Underneath Society. Prerequisites: proficiency in nature of survival. One attempt may be made each week to locate a member of the club, and doing so requires a successful DC intelligence investigation check. Membership in the club is free, but the member must pay 25 gold points per year in social dues. Benefits: exposure to experts on the underneath and the Great Dark benefits members of the club by offering insight and important information about these areas. Because of this, members are considered to be proficient when making nature or survival checks that are specific to the underneath and the Great Dark, and they are in the company of at least one other member of the Warners. This limitation on accessibility can be modified at the GM's discretion based on any means of remote communication by spell or magic item that a member can possess. Special creatures whose environment includes underground terrain instinctively know a Warner when encountered. These creatures are usually hostile to the Warner. Advancement to Warners with +5 or greater modifier to both the nature and survival skills are invited into the inner circle of the select members, known as the Descent, and can access the club, library, and museum. Members of the Descent using the museum and library as a research tool related to subterranean matters have advantage on related skill checks. Descent members are expected to pay 100 gold points per year in upkeep for the library as well as the social dues, but can invite other members into the club as they wish, providing that they meet the necessary prerequisites. So that is everything to do with clubs. Now we're going to talk about guilds. While clubs can be difficult to enter but easy to leave, one is a member of a guild for life. They are an altogether more serious path and will bound by one crucial rule: financial. They are in general a closer-knit group. Just as there are thousands of clubs within the Blight, there are many hundreds of guilds ranging in size from large and mighty to small and virtually insignificant. Also, with clubs, as an individual can generally be made a member of only one guild. Because of the detailed nature of the guilds and the sheer number of them throughout the city, only 2 sample guilds are given below, and even they are related. A list of many guilds within the city is provided in the Blight campaign guide, but even it is not exhausted. Rather than list them all, the sample guilds will serve to provide you with the means to construct any kind of guild to suit your campaign. In addition to the normal means of gaining renown within a guild or organization, you can also award renown to guild members as rewards for characters who achieve personal goals related to matters pertaining to the guild. More information on this can be found in the personal goals section later in this chapter. The Casterage Arcane Society. Wizards and other arcane spellcasters who seek to advance within the Blight often find that their somewhat despised craft brands them, unless they're upper class and therefore entitled. By gathering together and seeking to further their collective aims as scholars, the Casterage Arcane Society has grown in strength and influence. Guild members are marked with a secret and permanent arcane tattoo, not like a typical guild tattoo, but one infused with arcane energy that shifts and changes, including growing in size as new ranks are achieved within the guild. Any other member of the guild automatically recognizes the tattoo if she sees it, and is better disposed to her fellow members, gaining advantage to all charisma persuasion checks made by her fellow scholars. The leader. Hang on. My scrolling is failing me right now. Okay. Leader Artemi Nightshade, male human archmage, serves as the Grand Cabalist of the Casterage Arcane Society. As a scion of the Great House, Artemi commands both a great deal of wealth and a great deal of political influence. He has learned that to best serve the society, as well as to line his own pockets without interference, is better to remain apolitical in the constant tug of war for power in between these houses and the royal family. He is neither an ally nor an enemy of any, though he certainly tends to favor Nightshade agendas if they're not at odds with his goals for the society. His greatest fear is that Tika Borxia, a female human archmage, the recent master cabalist, ranking member of the Circle of 12 senior members, the Cabal, just below the Grand Cabalist, is not so neutral towards her own family name as she claims, and secretly plots to stubborn the society himself and eliminate Artemi in the process. His suspicion is not incorrect. The headquarters of the Casterage Arcane Society is a secret known only to its members. The society meets in one of the inner libraries of the Great Library of Booktown. Master Temel, the curator, prepares the necessary rooms at times when the society is meeting and lets members into the locked building when such meetings are held after hours. Temel is not a member of the society, but he is a respected supporter of it. Joining. Membership of the guild is sponsored by an existing member in good standing and largely dictated by a character wealth. Individuals seeking the friendship and sponsorship of a member must first locate one with a successful DC 10 intelligence investigation check. Once located, the petitioner can attempt a DC 20 charisma, deception, or persuasion check once per month, which, if successful, is followed by an immediate DC 15 intelligence arcana check. Failure to either check results in refusal, although further attempts can be made in the following months. If a character is successful in these checks and wishes to join the society, she must demonstrate the ability to cast arcane spells of at least first level, and then pay a one-time 100 gold point membership fee. Once this has been done, the individual receives the guild's arcane mark and is inducted at the rank of the apprentice of the society. Because the society is open to all arcane spellcasters with the financial means to join, it is one of the few groups that don't mind if its members are also members in other guilds as well. Gaining renown at the society is always a matter of buying it. It takes the form of increased fees paid to the society to gain greater access to rank and resources. Society rank is determined by total renown, and the benefits of the society are likewise defined by these ranks. The various ranks of the society and the one-time monetary cost to achieve them is listed below. It's not possible to move up in the society more than one rank per month unless some extraordinary circumstance dictates otherwise, as determined by the GM. Society Apprentice, 100 gold point dues, Minor Scholar, 200 gold point dues, or Lesser Scholar, which is 400 gold point dues. Society Rank, an Arcane Caster, costs 600 gold points. Arcane Scholar, 800 gold points. Meister, 100 gold points. Spellbinders, 1200 gold points. Meister Scholar, 1500 gold points. Arcane Meister, 1800 gold points, and Kabbalist, 2100 gold points. After achieving the rank of Kabbalist, every additional payment of 3,000 gold points earns one additional TR, but does not increase in rank. The TR above 10 can be used as goodwill when it's time to select a new Grand Kabbalist. If a member's TR is ever reduced to 0, they're no longer a member in good standing and no longer gain any benefits of the membership. All encounters with society members are with disadvantage on charisma-based skill check. It is up to the GM whether a member can buy their way back into good standing or not, depending on what caused it to be lost in the first place. Resources. In a hostile city encounter, a society member who reveals herself as such has had advantage on charisma checks to adjust the attitudes of the belligerents. If the attitudes are adjusted to at least indifferent and a society member does nothing to further provoke the other parties, then she'll be allowed to leave the encounter unmolested. It is known within the society, and without some unscrupulous casters, when confronted with hostilities, may claim to be members of the society, even when that is not actually the case. The society combines this by actively policing those who make such claims to weed out the pretenders. In any city encounter where membership in the society is claimed and succeeds in diffusing the situation, there is a base 20% chance that another member of the society or a thrall of the member within earshot can cast Detect Magic to confirm the membership. Society members also recognize the distinctive appearance of one of their tattoos using Detect Magic. If the person claiming the membership proves to be false, the society member will immediately call them out on it and demand their surrender for society judgment. Whether an actual fight ensues depends on the relative strengths and confidence of the member making the accusation. In any case, such a perpetrator is marked for further investigation by the society. The public is aware of the society's work in weeding out imposters and is generally amiable, if not exactly helpful, to such endeavors. However, if the claim of being a member of the society does not diffuse the hostility of a situation, any society members nearby will not intervene, preferring to avoid notice themselves in such dangerous surroundings. In addition to this general protective reputation provided by the society, membership also provides other benefits based on the member's total renown. 1 TR able to purchase arcane scrolls, 2 TR gain a arcane research assistant, 3 TR able to purchase arcane scrolls from the Society of up to caster level 6. 4 TR, your arcane assistant is now an immediate arcane assistant capable of doing research for you during downtime. 5 TR, you're able to purchase arcane scrolls from the Society of caster level 7 with no limit to the number available. 6 TR, your arcane assistant is now an advanced arcane research assistant capable of doing research for you during downtime. Your assistant also reduces the amount of time it takes to research and craft new spells for 7 level and below. 7 TR, able to purchase arcane scrolls at level 8 with no limit on the number available. Number 8, your assistant also reduces the amount of time to research and craft 8 spells 8th level and below. And so 9 TR, able to purchase arcane scrolls from the Society of up to caster level 9 with no limit on the number available. The cost of obtaining magic items and materials is now 40% less. And then at 10, your arcane assistant is capable of charisma tricks with other members of the society, always made with advantage. The exception that is if a deception or intimidation check is made against a higher ranking member of society, you lose 1 TR. Alright. Master Builders of the Office of Royal Engineers, aka the Royal Arcane Engineers Guild. The secretive Guild of Royal Arcane Engineers is the only group allowed on major building projects, especially those in the capital. Members have access to new spells, a grand library of the city, and receive a royal stipend. The guild has developed specialized spells that are used to enable buildings to be safely built atop buildings, and although many can't afford their services, the guild pride themselves that all buildings latched onto others without their help collapse. Some say sabotage is at play, but guild members laugh at such suggestions, claiming that their time is far too valuable far too valuable to waste on undermining the shoddy work of others. Their guild tattoo displays a plumb bob and trowel over a shield, bearing the numbers 2. My Roman numerals are off. 2, 7, 9, and 10. That's what it is. 2, 7, 9, and 10. All right. Hi, Brady the RPG Cat. Hello, Queen Vampiress. Thank you very much for joining into this stream. Okay. This guild gets unique spells. Arcane Veins, 3rd level transmutation. The veins of arcane power course through a touch structure, creating a magical strength and stability to it. The structure becomes sturdier and less susceptible to damage, increasing its AC by 2 and its hit points by 10. And its damage threshold is increased by 10. Greater Arcane Veins spell functions like Arcane Veins, except the increase in AC is 4, the hit points are increased 20, and the damage threshold is increased by 20%. Alright. Hello, Devin. How are we doing tonight? I'm home, It's been a really hectic night. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. You know, I tell you what, that is, things were kind of hectic for me on my side as well. Oh, no, don't worry about it, I do appreciate all the hard work that you do as a mod, but you don't have to worry about, being here at the very beginning of every stream. So I appreciate you, don't feel too bad about it, thank you for all of your help. And, thank you, sir. Oh, come on. You don't have to call me sir. I'm just Brainy. Okay, so beliefs of the Master Builders Guild. Ever since the tragedy of 643, when a portion of the capital collapsed from earthquake damage sustained more than a century earlier, it has been evident that some sort of order and oversight was necessary to successfully achieve the architectural balancing act of maximizing upward expansion in the city's limited area while maintaining the structural integrity of the older structures below. The Blight has long been undertaking this in a haphazard, chaotic manner, but the Royal Arcane Engineers Guild are who set to make that a reality, by strict adherence to carefully contrived standards of materials and methods, and no small amount of proprietary magical augmentation. The Guild has spent the last millennium achieving something that is all but unheard of in the Blight. Where they have been, the Guild has managed to create stability. Alright, goals. The Guild knows that the works of other builders in the city are inferior. In fact, most of them are downright dangerous. The Guild knows that it lacks the resources and time to oversee all construction within the Empire, but that doesn't mean that it thinks that it shouldn't. With one project at a time, the Guild seeks to protect its influence over the construction practices of the city-state. Most citizens who seek to build within the city can't afford the services of the Guild, but the Guild believes that they should therefore not build. They do not acknowledge the necessary for building beyond what they're able to accomplish, which makes them completely unrelatable to the common folk and has helped ensure that even after more than 1,000 years of presence within the city, they are still no closer to achieving the standardization of architecture that they seek. The Guild leader, Royal Arcane Engineers, are ably managed under the stern eye of Grandmaster Creator Permia Tunnelstoke, female dwarf archmage, specializing in transmutation. Excuse me. Premia of the Underneath Tunnelstokes followed in the footsteps of her grandfather Sheffer as leader of the Guild. She has an immediate knowledge of transmutation magic and its application in the unique building conditions of the Blight that received a very thorough business education as well in her youth. The fortunes of the Guild have only improved during the 3 decades of her tenure so far. Headquarters, the edifice of Royal Engineers, is said to lie somewhere in the capital, though its exact location is unknown. Whether this is a matter of security or because it's constantly being moved, some rumors say that due to instabilities in the capital's foundations, they are continually forced to shore up to preserve the reputation of their order. Whatever the reason, it is said that a system of secret knocks and passwords at the Great Door results in being escorted to the proper location. Rumors also mention, however, that the wrong password or knocks result in being escorted into secret obliette or a stay of indeterminate length. Joining the Royal Arcane Engineers requires that a candidate have the ability to cast third-level spells of the Transmutation School. The petitioner must bribe a minor capital official with 2,500 gold points and then make a successful DC 15 Intelligence Arcana check during an interview to successfully identify the techniques for certain relevant spells. Only one attempt at this process can be made per month. Although arcane casters are by far the most common members of the Guild, there are divine casters limited to clerics of lawful religions that demonstrate the sufficient mastery of the requisite transmutation school to qualify as well. The spellcasting ability of the member determines her rank in the organization. The initial rank within the Guild is Royal Arcane Engineer. Gaining renown with the Royal Arcane Engineers is usually encountered by securing and completing a prestigious building project. If a project by a member of the Guild was involved with is later destroyed through natural and unnatural means, that Guild member loses a TR. Likewise, the discovery or development of new spells within application and engineering and building gains renown for the discovering. Finally, 1 TR is gained by a member each time she receives a new rank within the Guild. Alright, so resources. The Guild has a vast library of information on building and the building application of the arcane arts that is amassed for over 1,000 years. Members are given access to these materials and other perks based on their TR within the Guild. When in the Guild library, the DC on Intelligence, Arcana, Intelligence checks related to engineering and construction is reduced by 2. The DC on Charisma checks dealing with the royal or upper class transcribe any common transmutation of spell of 5th or lower. Or purchase an arcane scroll of any common transmutation spell for half price. 5 TR when the Guild library, the DC on Intelligence checks relating is reduced by 3. 5 TR gain access to study and learn the spell Arcane Veins. 6 TR all intelligence check relate to the history of Caster Age and its holdings made with advantage. 7 gain access to study and learn to spell Greater Arcane Veins. And then 8 TR once per game week when making any non-intelligence check relating to the city of Casterage and its holdings. Substitute an intelligence check, charisma, persuasion, and deception checks dealing with the royal or upper class casts are made with advantage. Or transcribe any kind of common transmutation spell of level 9 or lower. Okay, so we've covered clubs and guilds. Now we're going to talk about cults and gangs. In dealing with the organizations that stand opposed to the characters, usually cults and gangs, the Blight uses an abstract system to measure the relative strength of these groups. Some groups are assigned a level, though some groups, such as the Illuminati, are off the scale as far as resources go because they are a core friend or enemy of the Blight, and as such are effectively ever present. These groups may become friends or foes of the characters at some point through an adventure, reputation, or even accident, and require a gauge of its power for you to work from. The relative power of a gang or cult is represented by its level. The level of a group gives an indication of the strength of their leaders and the relative strength in levels of their members. The level of a gang is usually the lead's character level, and the level of a group is squared to approximate the total class levels of its membership. Gang levels in general are raised from 5 to 20, although higher and lower level gangs are out there. A group is also detailed by a general alignment, its primary location, its leaders' motivations, friends and foes, tactics, and morale. Many groups are not easy to defeat, since unlike organizations such as the Watch or the Royal Army, they rarely operate in large groups from a single location, but as a disparate mass and spread over an area. Members of a group, for example, could be brought together for an activity, and the leader might decide that several members are required. Some gangs, cults, and groups do operate from a single base, and the choice ultimately is yours using the examples provided. Do you want a covert adventure of hit-and-run tactics with the characters having to seek out various factions of the Coven, or do you prefer the idea of a fixed Coven base? A group, like any encounter, should have tactics that represent their typical modus operandi and morale. The morale gives general likelihood of the gang retreating from any given combat encounter based on the table below. The morale should also list under what circumstances the group is entirely disbanded. These circumstances may not match the same qualifiers as given for an encounter morale, but usually follow along the same lines. For example, a mad group of cultists who seeks to eat the moon may never give up until each one of them is slaughtered. Every member always seeking new members over time, so that less purged, the threat is always there. A less desperate group, such as a smaller thieves guild, may be disbanded if half or even a quarter of its number is destroyed, captured, or slain. Unless otherwise noted, groups that are not defeated are able to recruit new members by various means to replace lost members, and even grow a bit over their baseline level at your discretion, varying their numbers and otherwise being dynamic living organizations. Generally, lawful groups who offer in a more orderly fashion can recruit new members at a rate of 1 new class level per group level per week, but they have a 50% chance to lose a similar number of class levels instead, though never for 2 weeks in a row. So the 9th level opium dealing Ithran gang under attack from characters of a holy order and recruit 9 class levels of new members in a week through bullying, intimidation, or other methods such as bribery. However, in any given week there's a chance that they lose that number of class levels instead. Okay, morale levels. Breaking morale, so percentages indicate the chance that the group or individual will retreat from an encounter. The check is made each time one of the listed criteria is fulfilled. If a group is outnumbered 2 to 1, they face opponents with clear tactical advantage or dire reputation, its morale level is reduced by one of the purposes of that encounter. If a group is in its headquarters or some other location it considers to be a stronghold, its morale is increased by 1 level for that encounter. All numbers reference that number of group members present for that encounter rather than for the group as a whole. Okay. Breaking 50% when faced with the prospect of a battle regardless of group size, 100% if demoralized by a successful intimidate check, or if one member is killed or incapacitated. Low morale, 50% when faced with the prospect of a battle while outnumbered if demoralized by a successful intimidate check. 75% each time a member is killed or incapacitated. 100% when they've reached below half of their numbers. Cautious morale. 35% when faced with the prospect of battle while outnumbered, 50% when the first member is killed or incapacitated, 75 when reduced below half their numbers, and 100 when reduced to 1/4 of their numbers. Average morale level. 20% when faced with the prospect of battle while outnumbered, 35% when the first member is killed, 50% when reduced below half their numbers, 75% when reduced to 1/4, and each death or incapacitation thereafter. Hardy, 10% when faced with the prospect of battle while outnumbered, 25% when the first member is killed, 35 members when reduced below half their numbers, 50% when reduced to 1/4 of their numbers, and each death or incapacitation thereafter. Courageous, 10% when the first member is killed, 25% when reduced below half their numbers, 35% when reduced to 1/4, and every incapacitation thereafter. Very strong, 10% when reduced to below half of their numbers, 25 when reduced to 1/4 of their numbers, and each death or incapacitation thereafter. And the fearless are fanatics who never retreat from an encounter and will fight to the last. Okay. Sample gang, Hood Street Vandals, level 7. Alignment CN. Alignment CN. That's some kind of neutral. That's chaotic neutral. That's what that stands for. Okay. Location: the Arctic's quarters. Leader: Edwin Senge, CN male blighted human veteran. Locations, motivations: to smash the mills, the friends, the family, festival, the anarchists sometimes, and lower caste workers. Enemies are the royalists in the city watch. Tactics: they operate by night. Sedge can gather up to half the group or by 4 hours or the entire group within a day's notice. The group use hit and run tactics, attacking the targets and then vanishing into the night. Morale: Hardy, the leader. All 3 of the brothers and half the group must be slain or captured before the group breaks and ceases as a viable entity. The Hood Street Vandals are a group loosely allied to the anarchists and are housed in the artist's quarter. Their leader, Edwin Senge, a former workhouse orphan, was so badly abused during his youth that he grew up with a hatred of all things establishment. The group is a covert gang that is aims to smash mills, factories, and workhouses near the artist's quarter. Membership is secret and a matter of caste, with low-folk workers forming the bulk of its membership. Instructions are spread through word of mouth, with lesser members being aware and following instructions from a trio of brothers called the Brothers by members of the gang, anyone of which knows approximately 50% of the lesser members by name. The brothers in turn act under direct instruction from Sedge. The 4 great families. There are 4 great families in the city-state of Casterhage: the Casterhage family, the Borxia family, the Nightshade family, and the Tredecki. Tredicci. Tredecki family. Below them are a swarming mass of other houses, great and small, all wielding various levels of power and influence. As a subsection of gangs, the rules can be applied to those politically and or nefariously connected houses as well to gain a gauge of their power and their influence. Blood runs thicker than water, they say, and unlike gangs, ties of blood are often intricately woven into others through marriage. The relative strength of each family is given a simple stat block designed not only to their power but to their allies and enemies, as well as their elders. As the sample family, the House Weather, level 9. Alignment: neutral, location capital. Family head: Lily Weather, female human spy. Loyalty to the royal family. Secret alliance with the Clan Sulage, Booktown, aimed at bringing the Borxias down. Their deal: swinging on property and business ventures and the royal family. Enemies: outrage and condemnation of House Shibboleth over attempts to frame an allegedly innocent senior family over a fair duel results in frequent duels between the sons of both families. Hatred of the Borxia family over property disputes and unpaid loans, as well as death of family diplomats at their hands. Tactics: spying, brokering information and secrets. Morale: very strong. Exiles flock to the manor, and the family name is arrogantly bandied about throughout the city. The support of the royal family secures their future so long as the Casterhages are in power. Although giving a good indication of the family, these statistics are also slightly abstract on purpose. They do not go into great detail about the family members or alliance, but can be used to judge who is more powerful than whom, and are intended as a jumping point so that you can flesh out and develop your campaign. Unlike gangs seen below, family runs deep and can count on lesser families as allies. Okay, magic. There are thousands of independent wizards and sorcerers operating in the city, but in general access to the higher level spells, 6th level and above, are controlled by guilds who guard them jealously, even going out so far as to burn copies of spells in their libraries if they discover them. Higher level divine spells are often more strictly controlled and generally only deemed suitable for royals or those of great importance. As such, spells such as Raise Dead, Resurrection, and True Resurrection are not generally for sale to the ordinary character unless they have powerful connections. If you wish, you can ignore this rule, however, this basis is the logic of the city. The nobles wish to keep such miracles for their own use. Dish them out to the low folk, they say, and everyone will want them. This does not rule out high-ranking clergy or those who serve them from being given access to such spells as rewards. The Illuminati are rumored to be the depository of hundreds of unknown spells taken by their spies, unearthed by their explorers, and new forms and ripped from alien hands by their adventure agents. Tales of countless new forms of magics and twisted domains of spells are speculated upon by conspiracy theorists. Of the few known to truly exist, the foul birth magic that targets the unborn from the vile eldritch and arcane power while still in a wound has evidence walking and staggering across the city. Tales of spells that can unmake a person's biology, of arcane powers that control the parts of the in-between, and those who are able to break and bend the will of men to unspeakable acts continue to be whispered. Miracles and Magus, optional rules for buying spells and magic on the Blight. Magic brings power, and power is something jealously guarded in the city. Buying magic, therefore, is difficult in such a closed society, and if you use the optional rules outlined in the side box below, all magic is affected. Where magic is sold, commands with a normal price, as noted in the guidelines for magic items in the game's master section of the rules. Magic items and spells. Magic brings power, and power is everything in the Blight. Magic items therefore rarely come up for sale, and even potions and scrolls are guarded lest they fall into the wrong hands. Some locations do trade magic, but the profession is considered a very dangerous one. Gilded crafters are often taken by jealous individuals and groups to put to work on their whims. In general, such items can't be purchased save at specifically noted locations within the city state, but groups, friends, and masters may be located to make such objects easier to commission. The determination of such contacts rests with you as a GM to install into adventures as friendly contacts or perhaps power rewards. For example, the characters may save a member of a cabal who has powerful friends. The character's reward is a power reward, see below, that enables them to purchase rare items of up to 5,000 GP value, but each item must be commissioned within crafting times as indicated in the spell plus 1d6 weeks. Spellcasters may also join an appropriate guild or club that allows them access to spells and items. If you do not wish to go with specific clubs or do not have time, use the rule of thumb that a one-time fee enables the character to join such an association. Such cabals and clubs have an indicator to represent the rarity of items or spells they can offer or can create, with the fee being 250 gold points per rarity or spell level. As an example, the Cabal of Shadowy Illusions, Uncommon level 5, has the ability to create all magic items up to Uncommon rarity for a cost of 500 gold points and purchase of spells and items in addition to the fee. Of course, and unless the fees are paid in full, membership is refused. That gang family, I think the pronunciation is like Daichi. And so I'm saying Daichi now, so, because, I have a bit of a Hispanic background, I tend to pronounce I's as E's. And so, I'm pretty sure, or Dichi, something like that. Like the Dichi family. Alright. So, because, once again, Italian, it has the Latin pronunciation in common with Spanish, so maybe that is perhaps correct. All right. Like Assassin's Creed the Medici, yeah. Sorry for the sidetrack. No, I mean, I appreciate it. I do actually want to try to get some of this stuff right. All right. Let me see. Spellcasters may join an appropriate guild or club that allows them access to spells or items. If you do not wish to go with specific clubs, the character can join just such an association. If you do not wish to go with specific clubs or do not have time, use the rule of thumb that a one-time fee enables the character to join such an association. Such cabals and clubs have an indicator to represent the rarity and of items and spells they offer or can create, with the fee being 250 gold point per rarity or spell level. As an example, the Cabal of Shadowy Illusionist has the ability to create all magic items up to uncommon rarity for a cost of 500 gold points and purchase of spells and items in addition to the fee. Of course, and unless the fees are paid in full, membership is refused. The association also works for divine spellcasters. They pay a one-time tithe to their church at the appropriate level and therefore have access to items of spells for up to that level. At your discretion, clubs may bar entrance from higher level clubs than their own character level, so a first level spellcaster could not pay 1250 gold points to join a higher level club or guild. Spell books outside of clubs and cabals are scarce, but it is always possible to obtain such items on the black market at a premium if more honest means are not available. The markets in some sections of the city, notably Booktown, have with tomes and books that can be purchased or modified by additional pages. Be wary, however, about treating spellcasters fairly. The standard here is that magic is rare and its users are people to either be feared or admired, possibly in equal measure. The trade-off can be mechanic, adding, say, a fear factor to those not being exposed to magic, or a role-playing one. Consider the sidebar options, but if none of them suit, either go with your own or ignore the magic aspect represented here. How magic is viewed in the Blight. Do you think they have a Freemasons, but it's like mages? Well, we did discuss the Mages Guild just a couple of seconds before you had just come on. And so as part of 2 sample guilds, so, since this is a GM guide, it's not necessarily a process of having a guild. It's a process of creating a guild and then just kind of working that into the basic plot of your story. So, you can really, just kind of have a mages guild, and you can have it exactly like the Freemasons. The example that they have for the Freemasons in this book is actually quite similar to that, because they are a guild of perpetual construction workers who have a single spell that they can use in order to fortify the magic in their buildings. And so they kind of use that as leverage against anybody else who tries to build a building in Caster Age. Alright. How magic is viewed in the Blight. This is very much a matter of personal taste, but the general assumption in the city-state is that magic is power and power should not fall into the wrong hands. How you run this is a matter for you and your players, but some increasing scales of control are given below. Each requires you to decide, if you even wish to, how to tweak the way magic is viewed in this campaign. This is not for everyone. Many people love high magic campaigns, in which case simply ignore these rules. Number 1. Magic is generally not for sale. This is the mildest of the aspects and one suggested to be used when running this campaign. Magic is simply so rare that it has fallen into powerful hands and only appears when an obscure item turns up as an auction, is stolen, or a treasure trove is found. Potions and scrolls do not generally fall into this category since they are relatively weak, but casters who make a habit of supplying scrolls to revolutionaries may not last long. When spellcasters are seen in the street, who do not clearly represent a recognized god, their presence creates a spectacle. Any members of the Watch report such matters or even try to capture such casters for a reward. It would generally only affect the game when such characters are captured by the Watch, in which case they are hastily tried for witchcraft, usually when an under justice can be called in 1d4 days, and then executed by pyre. Consequently, many arcane spellcasters take to donning ecclesiastic attire to disguise their abilities from the ignorant masses, playing their magical abilities off as divine in nature. How the various NPCs in your campaign react to this is up to you. 2. Magic is dangerous. Not only is magic for sales, but those who command it are to be feared. When magic is used, it has an effect upon the ignorant who fear it accordingly. This isn't necessarily a mechanical game effect. A wizard sending a fireball across the street at some foes could be held in awe and terror. Perhaps ignorant city watch officers flee or become frenzied in their wish to kill or to escape. In this version, magic is something to try to keep secret, and when discovered being used, should have an ongoing campaign effect. Perhaps a subtle effect such as NPCs fearing certain spellcasters or treating them with unique respect, or perhaps the characters pick up a few pursuing witch hunters. Magic is evil. In this final version, magic is viewed as being positively wicked, and all spellcasters that are not clerics are clearly witches unless they belong to the right guild and can prove their aristocracy. Arcane spellcasters may be discriminated against and feared. In game mechanics, all known arcane spellcasters make charisma intimidation checks with advantage, but commence any encounter with an NPC who does not know them beyond their ability to cast spells as hostile. So a character who is indifferent to the other characters commences the encounter with a hostile attitude towards the spellcaster. Do not use this version to belittle or isolate arcane spellcasters, but to add an aspect to them that is both good and bad. They are feared for the gifts. If they repeatedly use them boastfully or in prominent places, there should be consequences. Perhaps a guild member will seek them out for a task, or a witch-hating peasant or priest starts to hunt them. Alright. Death and magic. Resurrection and raised dead are serious matters in the Blight and are only generally available to the most important royals, priests, and political figures of great power. Those lucky enough to personally know someone capable of casting these spells or belong to a cult where such actions occur. They are certainly not available to the common man at any price. The idea of near-eternal life is considered to be blasphemous in many religions and some groups, notably the Knights of the Great Order, a lawful neutral order of knights whose sole purpose is to hunt down and immolate those who have been raised, who take a particularly dim and violent view of it. Personal goals. Personal goals or life aims are given an XP reward when achieved by a player character. These goals can be identified when the character is generated or acquired, like power and friendships, as the character progresses through the campaign. Personal goals are usually selected by the player with a GM's agreement, but occasionally a GM may wish to add one. For example, if the GM wishes a character to begin his career already hating were-rats, he can work with the player to devise a modified background where, as a child, one of the character's parents were killed by were-rats, but more than simply murdered, they were eaten alive by the were-rats pack. The character witnessed the event and only escaped through sheer luck. If the character's personal goal is to kill 50 were-rats, and she receives a specific reward commensurate with the estimated difficulty of the goal when it is complete. Be imaginative with the goals that you choose, and if you don't want one, that's fine. Not everybody has such motivations in life. Personal goals are judged by challenge rating, just as standard encounters, and rewards should be similar when the goal is achieved. If the reward is experience points, then it should go directly to that character and that character alone. Although constant aspects of the goal inevitably lead to other experience on the way for friends, the actual slaying of the were-rats, for instance, it should be noted that the character does not need to be directly responsible for the achievement of the goal, i.e. the character does not have to personally slay all 50 were-rats, but the character must be involved, at least a motivating force behind the achievement of a goal, if not an actual participant. Therefore, the character can be a member of a were-rat hunting party, the character can be a lone were-rat stalker, or the character can hire a group of mercenaries to carry out his were-rat extermination. In all cases, when 50 were-rats have been killed, the character receives the achievement award. You now see individuals, especially villainous NPCs, might achieve level advancement without actually dirtying their hands, which fits in well with the concept of conspirators and secret movers and shakers. Behind the scenes, that is so prevalent in the Blight. It also gives credible explanation to how someone with clearly limited direct combat abilities, such as an Ernest Blofeld, a supervillain created by Ian Fleming for the James Bond series type of character, can lead an organization of henchmen of its caliber and be a suitable match for a high-level character such as James Bond. This mechanic works especially well in a campaign that has more than simple blood and muscle combat encounters. A list of possible goals and their potential levels are assigned below. A GM must be careful to ensure their rewards are not too high for the goal assigned to them. Then that the story can have an end. A personal goal of bringing down the monarchy, for example, is unrealistic. However, a personal goal to join the anarchists is not. Characters in general only have one life goal at a time, though as GM you may allow as many as you wish. While a personal enemy is designated, the character must only play a role in their demise, so a character group attacking the cult of the Rusted Henge would be enough to fulfill a specific goal on behalf of the character hating or opposing them. As a final caveat for the use of personal goals, the players should be aware that the character unwittingly fulfills some major aspect of her life story. She does not receive the reward. In the example, above, if the character kills 50 were-rats, only the enemies that she knew or at least had good reason to strongly suspect were were-rats contribute to the goal. Killing the henchmen of the were-rats, who are not themselves were-rats, does not count towards this goal, and if the character kills something on the street, who also happens to be a were-rat without the character being aware of it, it also does not contribute to the goal. This could lead to some need for a reasonable adjudication on the part of the GM. If the character later discovers that someone she had previously killed was in fact a were-rat, and asks how they will apply this to the life goal. In general, granting the reward with the discovery of the knowledge retroactively is probably not an issue. But if the knowledge would be sufficient to reveal that the goal should have been met and the reward should have been given at some point, it may not make for a satisfying game solution. It may require the GM to extend the goal slightly so that the character can achieve it with an active effort rather than backing into it unknowingly and then suddenly reaping the benefits of its rewards. Back to our cinematic example. It would be singularly unsatisfying if during the assault on Blofield's stronghold, Bond suddenly realized that he finally reached Blofield's inner sanctum and the archvillain had been killed by an errant piece of shrapnel during Bond's opening volley. Yeah, reminds me of were-rats and cranial rats in Planescape. You know, there's so many of them. The achievement of the personal goal and reward should feel like an achievement for the player as well as the character, so you should strive to make it so that even if it means a slight manipulation of the matters at the end. Okay, and so concepts of sample rewards, choice of magic common magic item, 500 gold points, 1000 XP, a choice of an uncommon magic item, 2500 gold points, a special title, a choice of a rare magical items. I'm gonna stop reading the raise and the gold points because it just kind of keeps increasing exponentially. Advanced Tahir Castle, an awarded honorary university degree. You're knighted by the Queen, a choice of a very rare magic item. Maybe maid fitted minor nobility. Invest in a lucrative venture, join Inquisitors or Witch Hunters, choice of a legendary magic item, maid landed nobility, or 7,800 gold points. Power in role-playing games comes in many shapes and sizes, but generally revolves around a statistical basis. What are the highest level spells you can cast? How many hit points does a monster have? What feats can your character use? However, it's true to say that power is not always what you know, but who you know that defines power. Power as a reward. As an alternative addition to money, you may decide to reward your characters with power. Power rewards can range from trivial, such that all characters can earn the respect of the locals in the parish of Durnbridge, and all deception, intimidation, and persuasion checks are made with the character's proficiency bonus added for a year, to the profound resulting in the character being invested in the title of Lord Under Justice of Trade, a position of great import that pays 2,500 gold points per annum. Oh, actually 25,000. 25,000 gold points per annum. This guy is making a yearly amount of 2,500 gold points. Be careful when offering power as a reward because, as the saying goes, with it comes responsibility. If you wish to keep things simple, reward power as a simple bonus to income, skill checks, or as followers. More complex power rewards could involve interaction with other powerful individuals, opportunities to influence important decisions, and possible trade or nefarious activities. An interesting campaign could revolve around various powerful houses that vie for the illicit trade in contraband, with interaction at a political and covert level. These characters build up rewards by influencing aspects of the family and rise in power accordingly. Let's see. Example power reward, fetch destruction. If the characters rid a portion of the city of fetch, they are installed as parish undead hunters, positions that bring in 1,000 gold points a year. This parish installs 6 guards as underlings of the characters and replace dead underlings at the rate of 1 per year. The characters' interactions are made with advantage in the parish. If they wish, once per month, the characters can push local traders for extra tax, bringing in a further 200 gold GP if they make a DC 15 Charisma Intimidation check. However, at the same time, the use or overuse of this tax bullying should likewise have consequences for your DM to decide. Example power goal. To achieve this goal, the character must bribe the commander of the local witch station, Hamandus Quaid, female gnome burglar, with a bribe of at least 1,000 gold point, and make a DC 15 Charisma Persuasion check. Only 1 check is allowed per bribe, and only 1 bribe attempt is allowed every month. The bribe is still taken whether the check is successful or not. The first character to succeed in this check is offered the position of Undermeister of the South Street Docks. The position of Undermeister allows the character to access all imported goods coming into the city. These docks are notorious for illicit goods, and each month the character brings 1d6 plus 4 times 15 gold into his own purse from the take of the taxes. With a DC 20 Charisma Intimidation check, this amount is doubled. Cutthroats, pirates, and smugglers are a tough lot, and it is up for you as a GM to decide when and if the character's intimidation attempts result in a tiff or other and perhaps more serious discussion involving cutlass or dirks. An example relationship reward. Characters successfully completing an adventure and saving at least 75% of the captured NPCs receive a relationship reward. Hamtren, the grateful parish constable, male human veteran, is considered a friend of the character who, in the GM's opinion, acted the most heroically or who performed the single most heroic act in the adventure in Hamtren's presence. The GM should also allow every other character present a chance to befriend the constable. Those succeeding in a DC 10 Charisma Persuasion check should also benefit from his friendship. All the other characters who took part in the adventure find that Hamtren is friendly in attitude to them from its conclusion. Power as a goal. The Blight is rotten to the core, and power is something almost everyone strives for. The characters can take part in this corruption or perhaps seek to better things by working towards obtaining their own power, as discussed in the personal goals section. Some characters may seek an entry into the ranks of power in the city as part of their background aspirations. As such, power as presented here can be used as part of a character personal goal as described above. The guilds offer an avenue into the establishment. Generally, to obtain such power, the characters must remove the incumbent, who is invariably corrupt anyway, by bribing his immediate superior to remove him, or by securing the position in some other way, perhaps as a reward, or perhaps by carrying out a duty for a guild, aristocrat, or other influential person. Excuse me. Relationships as rewards. Consider that the character's actions always have some kind of effect. The characters can act selflessly, perhaps saving a hostage or commoner from danger. Perhaps they save a merchant's daughter and gain her father's undying gratitude. Such actions could reap new relationships, which may also increase their power. For example, the characters unmask a plot by cadaver snatchers to harvest parts from beautiful young people from local golem stitchers. These people are all the offspring of commoners, and only the characters stand up for them. At the close of the adventure, you may decide that one of the young people is a potential partner for the character. You may decide to grant this friendship as a given and hand the character the details, or you may decide that this character passes a certain action, a persuasion check, or other appropriate skill check. The character can develop a relationship with that individual. Advancing relationships, you can make the relationships as complex as you like, keeping track of NPCs as individuals, who sometimes accompany characters who have adventures of their own that are referred to in passing, which could lead to other adventures. You can also decide that NPCs are static and stay at the levels initially generated, happy with a quieter life, or you could decide to advance the NPCs at a rate relative with the characters, either half 1/4 or 1/8, depending on how useful you wish these friends to be and how powerful your campaign is in terms of level character. Yeah, sounds a lot like faction reps and Warcrafts, and I don't know if this is the way that Richard Pratt is writing it, or if it's the way that it's typically written out in a book that originated in Pathfinder, but they're probably using this exact same kind of scale that they use in something like World of Warcraft. Technology and firearms. Technology levels of the Lost Lands are defined in Chapter 1 of the Blight campaign guide, but a short discussion of technology as it applies to the Blight is warranted here in the GM guide. The technology level for Castor Hage as given in Chapter 1 is Industrial Revolution, in which the Lost Lands means that the folk of the Blight have access to, or at least exposed to, steam power clockworks and manufactories at a regular basis. In fact, Castor Hage is the most technologically advanced society in the entirety of the Lost Lands campaign setting. Even dominant global powers such as the Empire of Oceanus that rose from its simple island roots and brought the adventure Fordworth Empire to bay can only claim an Age of Sail technology level, while Cosmopolitan Bard's Gate barely makes it to the level of Renaissance technology. Why Castor Hage possesses this unique technological advantage is wrapped in a combination of its relative seclusion while still maintaining the full innovative support of the great empires of the world throughout its existence, the interrupted will of its government to seize and exploit every single possible technology available without the typical concerns of political and moral restraint, as well as the unique position in relation to the otherworldly influence of the in-between upon the minds, bodies, and souls of its populace. In short, Castor Hage is a place that has been touched, or blighted, if you will, and has had the resources and unimpeded political will to explore a myriad of lines of scientific query to their logical, illogical, and even catastrophic conclusion. The Blight is a mad scientist's lab where he never had to worry about a mob of villagers with torches and pitchforks coming to end his unnatural experiments. The sciences, pseudosciences, and metasciences have benefited from this unbridled excess, but the city has certainly suffered for it. But though the city-state of Castor Hage has long had access to steam power and clockworks, the former was tinkered on Earth as early as the 1st century AD, the Blight is no steampunk campaign, because where traditional steampunk settings harness the power of steam into all sorts of mechanical wonders, in Castor Hage it never became more than an auxiliary source. For in Castor Hage, the great experience discovered the obvious For in Castor Hage, a great experimenters discovered the great possibility and cheap availability of necromancy, not simply in the obvious sense of animating legions of zombie laborers, but rather in its application through necrocraft and golem innovation. While the many technological innovations that power Castor Hage incorporate steam power clockworks, at the core is their reliance and preservation and animation of once living flesh to supply their labor and energy needs. It is much cheaper and easier for the anarchists of the city to harvest the limbs of the dead or dying and craft them into an animated bucket brigade than force and install an expensive and heavy steel pipe to carry water up a slope, and it is this philosophy that has driven this city's innovation for centuries. Virus punk. Well, kind of, yeah, zombie punk or necromancy punk. As I was reading that, I was also thinking, it might be interesting to make a campaign where two parts of a country, in terms of development, one of them is entirely technologically based, while the other side of the country has relied almost entirely on necromancy. And, that could be a pretty interesting setting that, has a significant amount of theming and moral overtones, similar to the ones that I write myself. Devin says, "Indeed, yes, indeed, quite so, quite right." Of course, the important question is, how does the city's technology level impact your own campaign? And the answer is, with all Lost Lands products from Frog God Games, is that its impact is as much or as little as you prefer. Much of the technology is presented in a neutral manner. It is described in the background without detailed explanations as to which portions are magic versus which portions are technological. In the Blight, there's little distinction and little need for one. The technology need not play a significant role in your campaign unless you want it to. Perhaps the biggest point of contention is the presence or absence of firearms. Many GMs and players enjoy adding them as augmentation to their games and give them a more swashbuckling feel, but just as many despise them and want no part of them. Firearms have been presented as part of the Frog God Games Necromancer Games campaign setting series as early as 2005, so their appearance in the Blight is nothing new, but it will be handled in much the same way as any other instance. There are firearms in the Blight as part of the base assumption of the setting, but they are not integral to it, and you can absolutely ignore it entirely without ramifications or the need of substantial rewrites. The standard firearms found in the Game Master's Manual can be found in the Blight, and are available or unavailable to characters as you want them to be. The City Watch, the Royal Army, and many criminal elements of the city undoubtedly have access to firearms, but magic is cheaper and easier to control access to, so their use has not spread broadly and may never even be noticed by your players if you don't want them to. In general, encounters and NPCs are not built around the use of firearms, so it should be relatively easy to excise them altogether without a second thought if you so wish. Necropunk, yeah, that would be a good one. Call it Necropunk. So, it is assumed that the capital is undoubtedly bristling with mounted cannon that overlook the river and the surrounding city, but they do not play a role in any of the published materials and need never be mentioned. The ships of the Royal Navy are black, ironclad paddle-wheel steamers that add belching flames to the smudged air above the city, but they add only a pittance to that put off by the countless cook fires, trash fires, funeral pyres, and general arson that occurs in the city. And while these same Navy dreadnoughts have shipboard cannon, they are equally likely to use their cannon to fire secretly conducted experiments involving the enslavement and deployment of rage fire individuals through a Byzantine projector. In any case, these vessels of the Royal Navy are highly restricted, and they need not play a part in your Blight campaign unless you want them to do so. The undead, the broken, the made, and the unliving. One curious sight that surprises many visitors is the presence of broken creatures and the many forms of undead, nearly dead, or unloving creatures that walk the streets of the city. And in a moral city-state built upon the backs of cheap labor, it is perhaps unsurprising that they find a way to work their lower classes even beyond the bounds of life. Broken creatures are the most frequently encountered examples, and seeing a pair of broken trolls carrying great baskets or stones or other unbelievable loads is, while not commonplace, not altogether unusual. Similarly, skeletons or zombies are used by wealthy or particularly insensitive to fetch and carry, obeying simple instructions and doing menial tasks. Although not as common as broken creatures, they are generally seen at least monthly by locals. Many patrons have taken to dressing their skeletons in hooded livery to disguise their horrific appearance. And if the use of zombies and other lesser undead as menial labor goes unchecked, then so does the creation of flesh golems, homunculi, flesh giants, neocraft, and other constructs incorporating components of one or more individuals who once counted themselves among the living. Commonly known as the Maid, and any of these can be seen openly walking, slithering, or flying the streets of the Blight, and many take the form of commonly employed services such as the undead drawn horse cabs and the flesh giant animated dung-gears buggies. Finally, there are the unliving, those who are either through their own choosing or by the will of others had the power of their life and death over them, particularly the magical filter known as the elixir of life. Those who take the drought successfully find themselves with a new lease on life, or near life to put it more accurately. Released from the shackles of aging and finding the physical needs of the body much diminished all around, these are the alchemic undying, more commonly referred to as the reborn. Of course, that the physical sensations of body are diminished just as such, if not more causes to some consider this form of near immortality to be akin to near hell. Those who are exposed to the elixir of life are those who can afford it and have a morbid fear of death, or those who possess some valid skill that their overseers are not willing to let perish simply because the physical body might do so. There are also those who take the elixir of life, but whose bodies do not react to the unnatural infusion. Instead of shedding the shackles of ordinary unmorality as the alchemic undying, these unlucky souls instead find themselves cursed with a progressive form of undeath that not only steals away their vitality and ability to experience sensation, but also their very reason and personality as well. These cursed ones are the alchemic unliving, and when their curse becomes advanced enough, they lose every shred of who they were and become simply one more zombie, shuffling mindlessly to its master's command. The weight of the law. The law is tough and well organized in the Blight, making an enemy of it is unwise but perhaps inevitable to some groups. Having a viable law in the city is the only way to keep order, and as a GM you should not hesitate to call upon high city watch officers and minions to see it carried out. Third level characters who wantonly burn down a royal palace should not be surprised soon to find a group of wardens tracking them. Law in the city-state of Castorhage is maintained by the venerable, respected, and feared Office of the Watch, Queen's Men, as they're often referred to colloquially from parish watch stations. These thousands of constables, inspectors, and other officers oversee the safety and order lines of the straits. Well, the orderliness, at least. The Watch is an official instrument of the government, is much more interested in maintaining order. It is order that allows the workings of the city to continue, and the trade and the taxes and the bribe to continue to fill the royal coffers. Therefore, maintaining an orderliness to facilitate that trade is of utmost importance. That a modicum of safety arises for the benefit of citizens is merely a secondary gain that is of little concern to those at the highest levels of the city watch. This attitude is not necessarily reflected at the street level of the watch. Folk who, after all, have to live on those same streets, but while it is not guaranteed that a constable walking his beat is corrupt and or blind to the plight of the commoners around him, there is still no shortage of corruption even in the lower ranks. Regardless of whatever indirect benefits to the commoners of Castorhage may arise through the ministrations of the City Watch, no one should make the mistake of declaring the cities safe by a long shot. Still, the presence of the Watch and its patrols undoubtedly make them at least safer for the most part. The standard City Watch patrol is made up of 5 constables of the Watch, male or female human guards, and a sergeant of the Watch, male human veteran. However, this is only the standard watch patrol. There are some places of the city where the watch just dare not go, and some places such as the capital, where patrols are 2, 3, and even 4 times larger. The watch has not only guards, veterans, captains, and scouts in its employ, but also sneak thieves, burglars, acolytes, and priests, mages of all different specialities, amongst their number that serve in special capacity. Many watch clerks are commoners, while most inspectors are highly trained and can ferret out almost anything. Higher level officers quite frequently are nobles, being political appointments through family influence. Far from a homogeneous organization, the Watch represents hundreds of points of view and scores of agenda. Nevertheless, the sheer crush of its bureaucracy tends to keep it more or less on the course of the execution of its duties. The Office of the Watch oversees a city of millions of people, however, and crime is rife. This setting is perfect for a thief setting. Yeah, I agree with that. What does or does not cause a watch to become involved in this situation depends on the political capital at play. In general, a parish tiff where a cult temple is burnt to the ground by adventurers is not a cause for concern in the eyes of the watch, whereas bumping off an aristocrat most surely is. The more respectable an individual is, the less likely he is to be troubled by the law, and certainly a bribe of 500 gold in the right hands can get the aristocrat criminal of all but the worst of charges. How you adjudicate this is a matter of personal taste. The watch is there for you to use as an ally or a foil, but having it regularly swoop in and save characters in over their heads does not make for a very fulfilling game, while it could also soon be the very tedious having to deal with the 10th cultist body by dumping it in the river for fear of hanging. Likely a balance will need to be struck in your campaign between the usefulness and antagonism of the watch toward the characters. In any case, the player should not be allowed to become merely dismissive of the watch, and the characters who march up on the capital singing anarchist songs are unlikely to ever be seen again. The anachronistic pseudo-punk plague magic world, the gross corrupt city-state, and also the realm of boiling over aristocracy, wherein aristocracy itself is a GM strategy. I mean, that's probably what describes the Blight as a whole. The Knockers, the Caster-Age Secret Police, is also a force to be feared. This group turns up at night and takes people with them without warning or explanation. Those that go with them are rarely seen again. There are many well-trained individuals within the ranks of the Knockers, but their numbers and membership are so secretive, and their activities are so clandestine, that there's no such thing as a standard Knocker patrol. As with all in the city, judge the level of the law characters must deal with however you wish. If you want a strictly legal campaign, have the City of Watch be a constant issue for the characters. Perhaps not the aristocratic enemy, but covering up any evidence of their involvement as well. Conversely, in some streets, murder is commonplace, and with the city of countless serial killers, this law is clearly failing somewhere. Throwing an unexpected watch patrol into adventure is a great way to test your players' mettle, and if they happen to kill some constables, then so much the better. Everything, as has been said before, has a cause and effect in a place so crowded. There are always so many eyes everywhere, looking greedily to make a coin or use some information to seize some power. A party that takes down a few Crow Queen's men must simply learn to play this game in order to survive. Rife for Garrett to Taff. Yeah, in regards to Thief 2. Yeah. I'm not as familiar with the Thief games. I only know that they're called Thief and the main character is Gareth. And that's all I know. True Gods of the Blight. While the quote-unquote gods of the Blight are a constant presence in the minds of many caster-ages and occasionally walk the street, there's still countless other older deities whose names are invoked on a daily, sometimes momentary basis. These gods have their own local names, but as with any icon, scholars have surmised that many are only local aspects of more widely named or quoted gods. The more commonly revered gods of the Blight are listed here, but in a city so large, it seems that whatever god, saint, or angel one opens, there's bound to be a shrine to them somewhere. Many of the main deities presented below appear in other areas of the Lost Lands, however their complete description covering those other representations is not included. Rather, the list here details a shortened version based on their relevance to the Blight itself. They're wonderful, if challenging, worth playing or watching someone play. Yeah, I will definitely look into it. I mean, I think we only just passed the Steam Spring Sale. When the Summer Sale comes along, just another opportunity to scoop up AAA games from like 2 or 3 console generations ago. So I'll definitely look at it then. Baphomet, Greater God, Demon Lord, Alignment Chaotic Evil, Domains Animal Chaos, Destruction Evil Fire Water, Symbol of Burning Goat's Head, Garb, Rich Royal Robes or Filthy Nakedness, Favored Weapon, a Halberd, form of worship and holidays, full moons for worshippers with lycanthropy who tend to engage in wanton slaughter. Non-lycanthropes hold secret rites with desecration of holy symbols and blood rituals. And typical worshippers are Minotaurs, lycanthropes, Therians, Chower demons, the Aldechrich Order of Knights Templar in exile. Yep, Baphomet. The very same. While revered and a more urbane and civilized member in some other lands, in the Blight, this demon lord is a god of fire, or the raging storm, and the thunder and lightning who destroys. Even his more civilized followers, who meet in secret cabals for their carefully hidden dark rituals, revel in the destruction he promises to bring to the world. Hymns to Baphomet speak of the end of days, the coming of the apocalypse, or the ruin of the world through anarchy. Of late, rumors among Baphomet's speakful faith speak of a new weapon wielded by the Royal Navy, a powerful new advancement that has seen limited use only in the far colonial corners of the Empire, where they whisper this tantalizing new development. Use only one word: Rage Fire. Baphomet previously appeared in Cults of the Sundered Kingdoms by Frog God Games. Therianthropes, sometimes called Animorphs or Werethons, are animals that can assume a human or hybrid form, later combining both traits of animal and human forms. They are akin to lycanthropes, but Therianthropes are not lycanthropes and do not carry or induce lycanthropy. All Therianthropes in human forms have slightly feral characteristics. So, effectively, they're shifters. That, if you're working in 5e, that you would that they would definitely be shifters. Okay. The brine, ocean's anger, fish brother, god of sea and unsea. A neutral aligned domains animal chaos, destruction, water, and weather. A symbol, a crashing tidal wave devouring the towers of a city. Garb, salt-crusted fishing nets and seaweed drapings symbolizing tentacles. A favored weapon is a net. Form of worship and holidays, full moon nights when the high tide is highest, new moon nights that coincide with known aboleth rituals in the depths. The brine sea celebrated at midsummer with a flotilla of boats upon the sea, make offerings and feast on fish. Cradle song ceremony with a human woman is returned to the surface world with a briny infant in tow to welcome them into the briny community. The culling occurs when a briny undergoes transformation into a scum and is caught by its briny kin before he can escape into the sea and is euthanized in a sacred bloody ritual within the blighted waves. One day, Brian's worshippers say the world will be swallowed by a vast tidal wave that will wipe it clean and create it anew as it happened many times before. Until such a time, those who worship and work at the sea give offerings to the god and his creatures that live from it, seeking their favor. To the briny race, Brian is held as a patron and a sort of protective order. Older brother that seeks to their needs and promises them a new life of justice and equality once the wicked world that they live in finally passes away. Okay. Father Canker, Brother Choke, the silent assassin, the god of poison, silence, and smog. Lesser god, neutral, domains air, death, trickery, and weather. Symbol is a smoking brazier, shard of opaque glass. Garb is nothing, usually beggars' wrappings or mourning veils. Favorite weapon, any poisoned weapon. Form of worship and holidays, night vigils where rats or other small animals are sanctified as burnt offerings when the canker is especially thick. Burning of thick incense for a feast of fools is to hide presence from Father Canker. Grieving mothers set corn husk dolls alight and cast them to the lime as votive offerings. Typical worshippers, beggars, grieving mothers and fathers, belkers, some undead, and some psychotic thieves and murderers. He is at your window. He swallows the breath of your children as he chokes them, sobbing as he does. Father Canker seems to be a god wholly of the Casteraggi origin. He presents the ever-present danger to be found in the noxious fumes of the canker and the choking smog of the city. Jack's candle is said to be his manifestation. Father Canker is so much revered as placated, and many beggars and are those forced to live in the lowest parts of the city, along the banks of Sister Lind, where the mists ride highest and the sea breezes are at their weakest, live in constant fear of the choking miasma, can come without warning and leave it all encounters dead where they lay. Parents of young children who die of crib death, the canker's suffering fumes, or virtually any other cause of death, often see Father Canker as a protector of their lost child and make votive offerings into the great Lime River during their grieving period, a time that can sometimes last years or decades. Their authorities sometimes have to keep careful watch for these activities on days when there's a high fire danger on the river. There is a local rumor or fairy tale that floats around Casterage. Some people say that Brother Choke has a weakness, that he is afraid of bird songs. Whenever there's any truth in that, many locals keep a canary in their homes, hopefully to ward him away. They have come to know that when the bird stops singing, he is at hand, and it's time that you leave quickly. So, they are saying that, this is that they're making reference to a very old archaic item called the Jack's candle. They're not referring to Candlejack. Candlejack is an entirely different myth. It is said that if you say his name out loud, you Okay, well, this is embarrassing because I turned off my VTuber feed in order to do that. And now I need to turn it back on. Yeah, it won't come back. Yeah, that's what I was having a problem with. That was going on a little bit too long. Alright. See if this does it. It's worth it. It's worth it for the bit. Well, except I don't think I'm going to get it on again. Let's see. Stuff is so sensitive. Such sensitive material, you know? Okay. Will it return if I'm on just chatting? No, it won't. I have frequently invisible... Oh, there it is. It just took a long time in order to reload. That's what the issue was. Alright, well... I think there's a thumbtack under my fanny. Okay, we're back. Alright. Baryon, the liar, the great serpent, lord of the fifth, patron of betrayal and deceit. Archdevil, alignment lawful evil, domains charm evil law serpent, see below, strength, a fang serpent. Garb, ordinary clothes, no special garb other than a gold serpentine crown, and pectoral when conducting rituals. Favorite weapon, glaive gesarme. Form of worship and holidays. True followers of Geryon seek to ascend the worship rituals of other deities under the patience of being true believers and secretly desecrate them. Actual service to Geryon take place in deep, hellishly lit caverns that involve blood sacrifice, the summoning of infernal snakes, and the ritual blowing of shofar. The Archdevil Geryon is the great serpent and master of the fifth circle of hell, where he rules from a great iron fortress. He commands many followers in the city who seek his favor through lying in his name and to further his cause. Many of Geryon's faithful are casual followers who seek his blessing only to cover their dishonest dealings, and have determined that such efforts made to his glory are less likely to be discovered for the falsehood that they are. For his part, Geryon does not care whether his followers are former worshippers or mortal fools who inadvertently bring him power. The majority of his worshippers in the city are mongrel folk, those with reptilian heritage, who seek to curry his favor and use their natural aptitude for deception and obfuscation to further his cause. Geryon's former worshippers are serpents of all kinds and lizard folk found throughout the city who serve his cause. The Amphibians of the city who worship Hasith Ka seek the reptilian peoples who venerate the lair and seek to exterminate them in any kind. Geryon's most devout followers are called Serpent Masters and must sign a pact of evil with him to gain great power. So, somewhere in the humanities, lost eons, a race of malformed serpentoid humanoids rose, now known as Amphibians. While the truth of their origins had long been forgotten, most sages subscribe to one or two theories. The first states that the creatures are failed results of horrific experiments performed by the dark and nameless sorcerers of an ancient snake cult and their attempts to enforce-sell their followers. The second theory contends the Amphibians were once a cult of snake worshippers, cursed by an ancient snake gods for some transgression against the ethos. Whatever the truth, it appears as of late that the Amphibians have evolved into true race beyond the mechanization of arcane experiments or curses. While there exist several known species, recent reports describe encounters with yet unidentified Amphibians and others who are sure to surface as encounters with the race grow more frequent. Okay. Jubilex, the Faceless Lord, Lord of Corruption and Decay, the Demon Lord, Lord of Slimes and Ogres, Chaotic Evil, domains are Chaos, Evil, and Slime and Water, an amulet portraying an amorphous mask covered in eyes and a splatter of a point of an eye drawn in the center. Garb is filthy rags, a favored weapon is a morning star. Outbreaks of disease are considered to be signs of the Faceless Lord's favor. Otherwise, there are no real holy days or organized worship other than random sacrifices and obituations. Typical worshippers: insane humans, lepers, intelligent oozes, demons, spawn of Jubilex, slime nagas, and some evil dragons. The Faceless Lord is a powerful demon lord, sometimes worshipped as a deity, though it does not behave as much as some. It is considered by its worshippers to be chaos personified and return to a simpler, purer state of existence. Jubilex is said to sow chaos and discord throughout the planes. Though it's possible, these are simply the instinctive actions of a mindless monstrosity rather than a calculated strategy. It is undoubtful that Jubilex even recognizes that it has worshippers or cares. Disliked by other demon lords, Jubilex is often depicted as an amorphous blob with eyes in random locations that spews forth foul and deadly slimes of many varieties. During a dispute with the dwarven god Dweferder thousands of years ago, Jubilex was imprisoned in some hidden location, rumored to be on the material lane and the world of Leorgir. His physical appearance has not seemed to affect his few deranged cultists over time, and if his name has been forgotten to the point of having little more than a whispered rumor in the world, then it likely has only helped his cult to remain hidden from the powers that would otherwise seek to destroy it. The Faceless Lord is the ruler of slimes and oozes, things that slip beneath the streets of the Blight, and find an ideal setting for birthing and knowing its kin and progeny. He is also the Lord of Decay and is said to slither the streets on the Blight at night by his mad faithful. His followers, called the masters or mistresses of the ooze, often sacrifice a limb to green slime to gain their lord favors. They are feared by even the vilest things in the city for their cruelty. Lord Shingles, the shadow of the rooftop, sovereign of the heights, god of builders, gables, rooftops, and the skies. Lesser god, lawful neutral, domains are air, artifice, community, and knowledge, and their symbol is a spire. Garb is a ceremonial work apron and headdress with a ceremonial towel and hammer. Favorite weapon is a light hammer. Formal ceremonies held at the dawn at the 4 high holy days and at sundown of the solstices and the equinoxes. Ceremonies include ritual chants, bonfires, and oaths. Typical worshippers, architects, builders, gable masters, sprawl masons, spider hunters, daredevils, some burglars, and vigilantes. Ooh, gross cultists, yeah. Slime cultists, you know. There's ain't no party like a slime cultist party, because a slime cultist party is more than likely already digesting you. Okay, no city has a skyline like Casterhaze, so it's no surprise that the city's unique rooftop culture with its ubiquitous features and threats should spawn an awe of the people who live and work upon it. It is possible that Lord Shingles was originally just an obscure sky deity or perhaps some lesser builder deity associated with Drain the Lame. But whatever the case, something about the Blight's urban sprawl had ever more precarious skyward expansion called out for a god of the heights, and one appeared. It is sometimes glimpsed at dusk and dawn, and there are many gable masters and spider hunters who have claimed to have spent time with the god, though none can remember any details with which to describe him, other than he feared no precipice or drop and somehow made them feel strangely calm and safe as well. Oddly, many thieves pay him heed and make offerings on rooftops for luck in their second-story endeavors. Flowers, coins, and personal possessions, and the gables and spires of the Blight are festooned with his shrines. Lucifer, the Prince of Darkness, the Prince of Lies, the Adversary, the Prince of the Light, the Lord of Infernus, the Falling Tower, and Satan. Lawful evil, charm, evil law, strength, and war. Symbol, the Leviathan cross, red or silken black robes with tall pointed hoods that either cover the face with deep cowls and with white featureless masks. Favorite weapon is a trident. Form of worship and holidays, blood sacrifices at Samhain at the light of autumn, nights of the dark moon when Sibi is full, and Walpurgis night. Oops. Typical worshippers, witches, corruptors, politicians, revolutionaries, and the disaffected. So, yeah, pretty much just Lucifer. The Prince of Darkness is worshipped by countless in the city, and many good people have been tempted by lust or greed or hunger into serving him. In fact, his worship is so insidious that there's no way to determine what their true numbers might be. However, the astute and very observant are aware that many symbols of other divinities, deities, and archdevils are usurped and used in worship to the Prince of Lies, and doubtless many prayers so intended for other powers fall pleasingly upon his ears on Infernus instead. So, though not much is known for any organized cult of Lucifer, his most devout followers, the Dark Cardinals, bear marks of the touch of their master. Sometimes the mark may be a simple blemish, other times it can be a change of body into something monstrous, bestial, and lustful. Mammon, Lord of Avarice, Lord of the Third. Good night, Queen Vampiress. Thank you very much for tuning in. We're probably going to be wrapping up in just a couple of minutes. Mammon, Lord of Avarice, Lord of the Third, the Archdevil, lawful evil, artifice, earth, devil on trickery, a symbol of corn with the Archdevil's face upon it, rich robes on the finest materials, decked with gems and thread of precious materials. Favored weapon is a short spear. a form of worship and holidays for few formal rituals beyond the accumulation of wealth and tithing to cult leaders who maintain contacts for business deals and shady deals alike, and organize smaller surfaces where key figures can meet to strategize for profiteering. Typical worshippers, bankers, royalty, business owners, thieves, swine, and many of the Casterhagers. Perhaps most commonly invoked god of Casterhage, Mammon is said to be interested only in the spreading of his own name, and that even his name is a lie. It is said that Mammon's name is pronounced in the clink of every coin and the cry of every slave. If there is something that generates income directly or indirectly, Mammon has had a hand in it in some level. Mammon is invoked by those who wish for good luck and fortune, as well as those in power or those who have nothing. His touch caresses priest and pauper, queen and whore alike, and brings to all dreams of limitless wealth and power. Worship of Mammon is somewhat unique in that there are relatively few followers of Mammon who revere them as their primary deity, but by a great many who invoke him on the side in order to achieve success in some financial endeavor. Even the good-aligned followers of Mammon who revere him as their primary deity, but a great many who invoke him on I got to look. Okay. Even the good-aligned followers of gods of good are not immune to the temptation to beseech Mammon's blessing from time to time. As a relatively shadowy figure, even the politics of hell, where he is lord of an entire circle, Mammon seems to prefer this pseudo-anonymity. Alright, so I think that's where we're going to need to leave off. So I think we went from, 40 to 60, so we knocked out another 20 pages. That original estimate of 6 parts is probably not going to hash out, and now I'm going to put it at probably something closer to 10 or 11. But I digress. Thank you once again for tuning in to Brainy the RPG Cat. As always, be sure to check out the Well of the Worlds Kickstarter. Sign up for the Well of the Worlds Kickstarter, a new module for Prowlers and Paragons from Michael Serbrook, Rem Alternus, and Mobius Worlds Publishing. Also, if you're looking to purchase this book, you'll be able to find it and a numerate amount of other game books on drivethrurpg.com. So thank you, everybody, once again for tuning in. I'm going to take a moment. I'm going to do a raid. Let's see, who's on Twitch right now? Good stream, Brady. Thank you. Oh, yeah. Thank you, too, Devin. Thank you very much for tuning in. Let me see. I haven't been to them in a while. Manic, maybe. Also... Ultra Pops. What is my server doing right now? Yeah. Okay. We're gonna go ahead. We're gonna go over to Meowpenheimer. Right now, they're in the middle of playing RimWorld, so that should be pretty interesting. Alrighty, everybody. I will be back this coming Friday. We are going to be playing part 2 of our playthrough of Pokemon Infinite Fusion. Alright, and also, please don't forget that we are going to be doing our 8-hour marathon of South Park: The Fractured But Whole on April Fool's Day 2023, beginning at 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. So, we'll definitely be there starting at 8 a.m. We're planning a lot of things. It's really just going to be probably one of my most jam-packed, activity-filled streams yet. So please, feel free to tune in. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Have a good night, everybody, and thank you very much for watching.